Hi, welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host, and I'm the founder of Faith to Influence, which I started in December of 2018. And when I was new, I was nervous, I was scared, I wasn't sure if I could make it. I had some self-doubt problems, and God delivered as I surrendered through Him. And we collected over $250,000 in revenue my first year as a coach. I began later starting to work with Christian coaches specifically, teaching them how to build their coaching businesses and teaching them important practices that were necessities in my success. Number one is how to design your business model, your pricing, and your offers. The second piece was how to make sure that you had the right mindset around sales and money so you removed resistance to your success and you could move forward with greater freedom. And the third piece is how to have high integrity, high converting sales strategies that feel good for you and your prospects, whether they buy or not. This is super important. That's what this podcast is about, and I'm excited to help you with these things. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that I think is really important, and it's really present to our sales team at Faith to Influence right now, which is boldness in sales. I think that boldness is going to be our theme this year as a sales team, and we're spelling bold in a whole new way. B, heart emoji, OLD. We're replacing the O with a heart emoji because I want you to be reminded that even as I call you in this podcast episode to be bold, and hopefully this podcast episode will challenge you a little bit. Christian entrepreneur, Christian coach, Christian salesperson. I hope you feel some challenge. I hope you get a little bit of knots in your stomach. I hope it calls you to a new level. And the important thing about being bold and challenging people is that there's a foundation of love. When there's a foundation of love, the challenge is so much more easily received. And so that's why we replace the O with the heart. Let's be bold, though, especially in our sales calls, but also in coaching, in speaking, etc. Our boldness will attract people to us. Our boldness will actually be the thing that helps people receive the challenge they need to get more of what they want. We've been talking to our sales team about letting go of fear of judgment from the other person, which is really focus on ourselves in the sales call, and instead shift our focus to what does this other person need from me? As a coach, as a leader, what do they need? Can I be so present with the other person that I let go of myself? I let go of fear of judgment. And can I be the bold, courageous leader this person needs? Now, this probably isn't as dramatic of a shift for you as it sounds like. But what it looks like and feels like is you asking 2 or 3 layers deeper the questions that people need. It sometimes is going to look like you asking for truth at a higher level. It sometimes might look like you challenging people's old stories. This happened on our sales team the other day. One of our sales reps said, Justin, I noticed that nobody wants to book calls right now. And I said, nobody wants to book calls right now? Is that true? Because I knew it wasn't true. And I went on to point out to my team member who I love so much that she had a sales call in the last week. So somebody booked with her. And that I had multiple calls in the last week. And the rest of our team had calls. And so it's just not true that no one wants to book a call right now. But so often we take what we're feeling and we dramatize it in the way we speak it out loud. And we create a bigger, bolder story that's actually less true than the reality. And so this can happen sometimes in sales calls where I'm talking to a prospect and they're speaking about something in a way that I know isn't quite true. Like they say things like, well, no one in my town knows what coaching is. And I might say, no one in your town knows what coaching is? Is that true? And if they're like, yeah, that's true. No one, I haven't encountered anyone. I said, you're from your town, aren't you? And I'll say it with a little smile. It's a little bit playful, but they're like, okay, yeah, sure, I do. What about your spouse? Do they now know what coaching is? Sure they do. Okay, so listen, I understand. I'm teasing you a little bit here. Like, I understand that the truth is that it feels like not a lot of people know about coaching in your town. And maybe that is true, that not a lot of people know about coaching. But it's not true that no one knows about it. Here's what is true. What is true is that no person who has ever bought coaching in their life, including you, knew what it was before they knew what it was. No one who's ever bought coaching knew what coaching was until someone told them about it for the first time, which means that every person in the world who knows what coaching is at one point didn't know what coaching was. So every person who buys coaching for the first time had to learn about it for the first time. Whether or not someone in your town knows what coaching is does not matter at all to whether or not you have success in sales of a coaching program. You know what actually does matter is that when you get on a conversation with somebody, that you provide them with such an impactful and deeply meaningful coaching experience with you on that sales call, that by the end of it, they absolutely know what coaching is, and that it's so important to them to continue to have conversations like that that can impact and change their lives. You can imagine how I might challenge that person. They had an old story. You can see the scenario play out, right? No one in my town buys coaching. And their real story is because no one in my town knows what coaching is their story that they're saying out loud. But their real story is that because of that, no one's going to buy coaching, which is absolutely false. It's make-believe. And I need to call this person to truth. And so oftentimes when I hear a story that's not true, my bold way of responding to it is to repeat it back to them, that same statement with the question tone at the end of it. And then to hear what they say next. And then maybe to say, is that true? And then maybe to help them realize that it's actually not true. I'm not going to take the false story. I'm not going to receive the lie and let it stand on my calls. Now, I'm not going to be mean or rude or confrontational in how I challenge them. It's going to be light and loving and calm. It is important, though, for me as a coach to help them let go of old stories that are not true and to be bold enough to help them see the real truth. That changes everything. That's one of the ways I'm going to be bold. Now, I also, another one of our sales team and coaches at Faith to Influence had a story where she said she was talking to somebody on a call, and here's the scenario that played out. She knew that this person was a perfect fit for what we do and really needed coaching. But the person said that even though they make plenty of money off their main job, they want to pay for the coaching from their account, from their coaching business, their side hustle. Like they don't want to take from their main income to pay for their coaching that they could get with us to make more sales. This person's really struggling to make sales. They need to make more sales. They need help. They want to work with us. But their story is they want to pay for it from their coaching account. So they just need to go out and make some more sales, have more money in their coaching account, and then they can pay for the coaching with us. And our sales rep felt a little bit nervous or scared, like it wouldn't be nice to challenge that idea. And so they let go of the opportunity. But the truth is, what does this person need? They need to make more sales. What are they struggling to do on their own right now? Make more sales. What have they been struggling for many months and years to do effectively? Make more sales. Is there any logical reason to believe that this person is going to go out and make more sales for their coaching business by doing the exact same things they've been doing the last 6 months that haven't led to sales? No. The truth is there's no logical reason to believe that if they do the exact same thing they've done the last 6 months, that they're going to make more sales than they did the last 6 months. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And that's the problem our clients are facing. They're stuck in that. And so what they actually need to do is they need a pattern interrupt. They need the boldness of a pattern interrupt. Humans are creatures of habit. We do the same things again and again and again. We think the same things. We behave the same ways. We believe the same things. We say the same things. Something like 90% of what we think today, we thought yesterday. And so if that's true, our loving, bold behavior towards our clients and prospects is to challenge them enough to interrupt their pattern so they can behave differently, think differently, see differently, so that new things become possible and new results become possible. And so the sad thing is to leave that prospect in the position of just thinking that they're going to do the same thing that they've been doing that hasn't been working and expecting that they're going to all of a sudden have it work. Doesn't mean that God can't perform a miracle, but like that is a losing strategy. And for us as their coach or their potential coach, the person who should help them see the truth, for us to leave them in that state where they're highly likely in 6 months to be in the same disappointing situation they're in right now, that is not nice. That's if one of the two is mean, that's the one that's mean. It's leaving them in a situation where we know they're not going to achieve their goals and doing nothing about it. What I want to challenge you, coach, salesperson, leader, to do is to challenge people to see, think, and behave differently so that they can get a different result. What's the most loving thing we could do for this person? Help them let go of this old story that they need to pay for it from their coaching account rather than from all their other income that they could easily pay for it from. We need to help them understand that waiting to make more sales so they can invest in the coaching that they need to make more sales is backwards. Investing in the coaching that they need to make more sales is going to help them make more sales so they can make other investments for their business in the future from their coaching account. And the way we might help them understand that is by asking a series of bold questions. So if they say that, I might say, I totally understand. I get why you'd want to invest in that from your business account specifically. But you told me before that you've really been struggling with sales recently, right? So oftentimes, what's really normal is we hear a lot that people want to go make more sales on their own and then spend money to get the coaching they need to make more sales. But as you can imagine, this is kind of backwards. What we've found to be true is that if people invest in the training they need to make more sales, then they make more sales. If they instead just keep doing what they've been doing, they're going to get the same results they've been getting. Does that make sense? How does that land for you? Okay, cool. Let me ask you this question. If you knew that investing in this kind of coaching, let's say the investment was $3,000. If you knew that spending the $3,000 to develop your sales skill set was going to lead to you earning an additional $6,000 in the next 6 months for your coaching business, would you do this? Oh, well, yeah, if I knew. Okay, great. Now, there's no way to know, right? But how much does your average client spend? Oh, my average client spends $2,000. Okay, awesome. So you'd need to make 3 additional sales over the next 6 months to pay for this program. Is that right? Cool. If you had training every single week on your sales skill set, and you had Q&A coaching with me every other week for the next 6 months, and you were in a community of other people who've all invested heavily in their business to grow, do you think that you'd show up differently? Do you think that you'd be more likely to make those 3 additional sales? Yeah. And here's the interesting thing about making that investment, right? That $3,000 investment, or that $6,000 investment, or whatever the number was I said before, that investment, it stretches you, right? You're having to pull from your normal income instead of your business account. That feels like a big stretch. That's actually healthy for you because the stretch of that's going to create more urgency for you to behave and show up differently, right? Here's what I know to be true. If you make that kind of investment, let's just imagine for a moment you did. Would you show up committed to getting your money's worth? Would you show up committed to getting a return on the investment? Oh, yeah, I'd have to. Okay, I get it. You would have to. That's one of the reasons you would get different results. It's an immediate pattern interrupt. Just making the investment before we teach you anything else will cause you and force you to show up differently. And it'll make making those additional sales significantly more likely over the next 6 months. And here's the truth. I really believe that you can do this. And I believe I can help you. I think if you're committed to doing the work, I'm committed to supporting you along the way, and we invite God into the equation, we can do this. Are you willing to make the investment in your business so that you can begin to pay for things from your business account that you know your business needs, and so that you can serve the people that you want to serve? Do you want to do this? This is the kind of conversation I'm going to have with somebody. Or I might even challenge people boldly by saying okay, I get that this is challenging in your current state. Now, let's imagine this is a totally different scenario, but we're in objection handling. I know this is somebody I can help. I know that they want to do this, but they're just struggling to get over the challenge of this. They're struggling to make the decision because they're scared that they're not good enough. Okay, I get it. I get that commitment's scary. A decision like this is scary because then it requires that you're going to have to show up differently, that you're going to have to be a different person, that you're going to have to get a different level of result. Like the investment itself requires your transformation and growth, right? And in your current state, I get why it's really hard to make that decision. Because in the past, like you've made these decisions before, you told me, and it hasn't always worked out. What's different about you now, though, than the person who invested in those other programs that didn't work? Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Are you more ready now than you were then to do the real work? Cool. And what about this offer and this program working with me? Does it feel different than the other offer that didn't work for you? Yeah. What's different about it? Okay, cool. Like these aren't even that challenging, right? But they're curious. And there's a boldness and real curiosity in having the real conversation that's so necessary. And they're like, yeah, I am different now than I was a year ago when I made that investment and it didn't work. Yes, this offer does feel different and more aligned for me than the one before. Like just asking them the questions, letting them work this out themselves is so helpful. And I might even say, okay, let's imagine 1 year from now, you've actually achieved the goals you have for the next year. Let's imagine 1 year from now, you've got that $100,000 business and you've experienced all this growth. That version of you from 1 year from now, if they could talk to you today, what would they tell you to do? What wisdom would they share with you about this decision? Listen, I'm not trying to make this decision for them. I'm helping them get into a state of mind and a perspective and think about things and like beat down old stories that aren't true, like they're not good enough, or they can't afford this, or they have to do it this way, or it has to be perfect for them to ever take action, or they have to have no fear, because courage isn't lacking fear. Courage is movement in the face of fear. It's action in the face of fear. And oftentimes as coaches, what we need to do is help people get enough courage to get out of their own way and to move forward and take the necessary action. I'm not going to make them. I'm not going to tell them they need to. I'm going to encourage them. I'm going to ask good questions. I'm going to help them go through a process to eliminate bad lies, old stories that aren't true, and to help them see an empowering path forward. And my conviction in this is really important. I need to believe that they can do it. I need to believe that I can help them. And then I can be bold, right? So you might need to do some of the inner game work, some of the art of influence to make sure that you're ready to be bold. And there's so many other forms of this. You know, a simple one of these is like somebody being like, hey, I really want to do this. Or hey, can you follow up with me in 6 months? I might, if somebody says, can you follow up with me in 6 months? I might say, absolutely. I'd be happy to follow up with you in 6 months. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like this is something that like you're really wanting to do? And you think there's a really good chance that you're going to want to move forward in 6 months? Or do you feel like maybe this just isn't the highest priority for you? And I should just leave it in your court. Because if you're like really sincere that this is something you want to do, I'd love to set a call now. We can talk in 6 months. We can have a 30-minute chat. We can talk next steps, and hopefully we can move forward together. But if this is just like a loving way for you to say this isn't for me, I'm happy to just leave this in your court, and you can follow up with me in the future. The door's always open, but we don't need to schedule that call unless we're really serious about moving forward. Do you feel like this is something you're really serious about moving forward right now, and we should book a next call? Or do you want to just leave it in your court? I'll have that bold conversation with somebody who I don't think serious and I think is going to waste my time. Because you know I like to end every call with yes, no, or the next call booked. But if it doesn't feel real to me, I'm going to ask them like, hey, does this feel sincere to you? Like, is this something you're really serious about? Or should I just leave it in your court? And you can always reach out if it is something you want to talk about in the future. Like, that's what I mean by boldness. Like, can we just honor truth? My friend Trent Booth's business is called Veritas Leadership Group. Veritas meaning truth. That's what boldness is about. Asking real questions to identify real truths to help people make the best decision for themselves and to set boundaries and honor both sides of the conversation. If you bring more boldness to your sales conversations, you will serve more people. You will change more lives, whether they buy from you or not. And the end result, of course, will be that more people will buy from you because they'll also respect and recognize that they need a coach, a leader, someone to challenge them, or they're going to stay the same. And when you show that you can be the person to challenge them with that boldness in a loving way that doesn't hurt them but cares for them, that's how you earn the opportunity to be their coach. Let's be bold in the marketplace, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like and subscribe for more episodes like this, and share our podcast with a friend. God bless you. See you soon.